There was a post that got 20 million views for me. I did nothing for that, I'm telling you. Like nothing special. It was just a B-roll. I was typing something, I guess, and there was a text going on.
Okay.
This is the era of hyper visibility, right? When you're competing with visibility, have one main platform and go be present everywhere, as many places.
Sometimes it's more about the visibility, the
Visibility
trust
in the right market. Exactly. Marketing can help you sit with the right people. So that's why I'm saying if you want to develop your personality or build your personality, then understand the foundation, who you are first, and then move on.
So, like, you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
How does it feel to become an entrepreneur? What's your age? 26 or 26?
I'm 27 now.
27. How does it feel like to become an entrepreneur at 27?
Cool. I think entrepreneurship is less of a job title and it's more of a mindset thing,
Mindset.
right?
Honored to have you here on the show, Shivangi. How was your flight today?
It was awesome and I was super excited to be here today.
Thank you so much for coming all the way from Pune, and let's start. But before we'll continue further, I'd like to ask you, why don't you introduce yourself to my audience? Like, what do you exactly do and how it is impacting people's life?
Sure. So hi, I'm Shivangi Srivastav. I'm the founder of Swift Media and I'm a career development coach. For last over 8 years, I have been working specifically on communications. I'm actually a data scientist turned marketer and communicator. And I've been helping professionals and brands grow through, effective communication. So for brands, my Swift Media is helping them communicate their ideas and positioning clearly. So for brands, my Swift Media, our agency has been helping our clients who are founders and mainly B2B brands simplify their communications and grow their business. And with my academy, Shivangi Srivastav Academy, where I'm the co-founder there, where I have helped 80,000 plus professionals get better career, salary hike, and switch their jobs. And I have worked with 100 plus MNCs across 19 plus countries. And apart from that, I'm also a content creator. So I love to create content that even brings even 1% of positive change in people's life through communication. Yeah.
Yeah, that's totally great. Such an amazing journey, I would say. But I'd like to ask you, like, how a data scientist engineer turned into a marketer. How is it possible?
So, even since my school days, I was super interested in communications. And that was always something I genuinely enjoyed. It never felt like I'm doing something without, by putting a lot of effort into it. But as everybody knows, our parents want us to be engineers in India. So I became an engineer. I got the placement. I was working as a data scientist with Amdocs. But the work as, communication there as well, I had joined as a data scientist, but I was mostly working and helping the company with communications. I was hosting shows. Even as a fresher, I have interviewed a lot of general managers globally and India. So all these things I was already doing and I was already getting rewarded for that. Then there was a time when I thought, I'm not getting paid for this work. I'm getting paid for something else where I'm average.
Exactly.
And this is something I'm enjoying and I'm excelling into it. So why not convert this into something that I can do, I can follow my passion 24/7. I can earn from it.
Exactly.
So that's when I quit my company. That's when I quit my job and I decided to start my company in the year 2022. So we started as an academy and gradually it just happened that we moved into the agency setup as well.
Perfect. Like, I think there is a common thread which I'd like to mention. So recently, you're the co-founder of Shivangi Srivastav Academy and the founder of Swift Media. But if you'll focus on both these brands, you'll find a common thread, and that is communication,
Right.
which is helping both the corporate professionals
Correct.
and the brand founders to grow. So what do you think? What is the role of communication in both these brands and how it is taking people's and their brands forward?
Correct. So I think communication is the most important thing right now. If you see the market, be it for professionals, be it for founders, CXOs, or even for brands. Okay. So I don't do anything that is rocket science. I simply simplify communication, what they bring to the table with very much of clarity. That's the only thing that I do. Right. And I think if any brand, any founder, or even a professional can bring clarity to what exact value they bring to the table, they are always going to be rewarded the best in the market.
Exactly.
Because it's not that market does not have talent. Market has a lot of talent. People are immensely talented around us, but somehow they are not rewarded because they cannot even communicate 20% of the real value. Right. And that is the exact problem statement I found out. And I just simplify communications. And that has been helping professionals, that has been helping brands, founders, and everyone.
Okay, let's suppose like 2025 is about to end. And if someone is planning to work on his communication skills, then what are the 5 best practices which you would like to recommend so that he can ace his communication skills in 2026?
Right. That's a wonderful question, I think. So in 2025, if whether it's a brand founder, it's a CXO, or even if it's a professional trying to get job in the market, the number one thing I understand is positioning.
Okay.
Okay, if I'm going to hire a software engineer, there are going to be thousands, literally thousands of software engineers applying here.
Exactly.
If I want to hire an agency, let's see, agency like mine, there are literally every other business in India is an agency. Then why should somebody hire me? Right. That's is the question.
Real question.
Exactly. That's the real question that you need to be able to answer with 100% clarity. If that can be done, that is going to give you a lot of edge. So number one, positioning. You cannot say that I'm a software engineer and I want to get a job. The simple thing, it's not 2020, 2022 anymore. 2025, for every single skill, there is AI and there are so many things who are doing the same thing. So what is your USP? What is your positioning as a professional? It's a very important thing. Second thing, in terms of communication, you don't need to, earlier we used to understand if somebody is a great communicator, then they might be using very difficult words or something like that, right? We used to flex. People used to flex earlier. But right now, if you can, whatever you do, if you can make a 5-year-old understand it, then you are a successful communicator. Just simplify as much as you can. Number 3. Whenever you are communicating about anything, communicate in terms of value. Even for businesses, when I work with businesses, I literally work majorly with the tech founders, B2B tech founders, where I tell them, don't tell me what your product brings to the table. What are the features that the product does? Talk about the problem it is solving. What is the exact value? As a candidate, you don't tell me you have this degree, that degree, you have these many skills. You tell me what is the exact problem statement that you can solve.
Exactly.
Just talk in terms of outcome. Okay. And the 4th thing is, I think when communicating about our skills or anything, I believe we all can do 100 things in the world, right? But you don't need to market yourself or brand yourself around all 100 things. This is how most of the brands, people, and everybody is, diluting their messaging.
Exactly.
So stick to 1 or 2, 3 things and talk about it in a way that you can do the best in the world. Okay. And the 5th thing I would say, communication doesn't need to be that serious.
Okay.
Right?
It should be funny.
Yeah, it should be fun. We are not AI. We are not doing it for machines. And even if a person who looks very, very serious to you, crack a joke and see a smile on their face. Okay. So make your communication very easy and very human. As long as you can connect on the human level with anybody, you are always going to be good with communication.
Exactly. And I think that is very true. So I also do sales for my agency.
Right.
And for some freelancing stuffs, which I'm doing. So for this, I used to divide my clients based on like 4 stages here.
Mhm.
There will be people who has no idea about the problem. So what you have to do is communicate. What you have to communicate? You have to communicate about the problem so that
Yeah.
the second person can understand about the problem that his particular business is facing.
Right.
Then there will be another phase where the people has the idea about the problem, but he does not know the solution.
Right.
Then you have to communicate the solution. Like what will be your solution? Like
Yeah.
as a founder,
Hmm.
your business, like how your business can help the other person to grow their business. Then you have to communicate. Then there might be some people who has idea about the solution problem.
Mhm.
Then you have to communicate your value proposition, your case studies or some sort of
Right.
testimonials. And then there will be some other people who has everything, but he has not good experience. Then you have to communicate, your working environment, your
Mhm.
culture, your values.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that will lead the other person to work with you.
Correct.
And that is something which I think is a value
Mhm.
of communication. And
Absolutely. And in marketing, we
Hmm.
call it different stages of awareness.
exactly.
Yeah, right. So
Ah.
there are 4. Some
Stages.
people say
Ah.
there are 4. Some people even make it elaborated and
Hmm.
go for till 5 or 6
Hmm.
stages of
Hmm.
awareness. So stages of awareness is very important for you to understand
Hmm.
the person who you are talking to
Hmm.
and what is the exact state where they stand right now is the perfect thing to target them with a very tailored marketing approach. So yeah, wonderful addition here.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so let's move further. So
Mm-hmm.
recently we talked about that if you want to ace your communication skills, be it a brand or be it a person in 2026, you
Mhm.
have to follow this particular 5 processes and that will help you for sure.
Right.
But now consider a person who has good communication skills, and then there is another persona of personality development. Even if you are a good communicator, you are able to communicate your values, your thoughts, like whatever you are thinking.
Right.
But people does not take you seriously. And that is something which is a default in your personality. What is actually personality development? Could you please
Right.
help me to understand?
Sure. So personality does not only comprise with the idea of having, good English speaking skills
Hmm.
or being able to say something very beautifully.
Hmm.
You will see people around us who are great professionals
Hmm.
in their profession. They are doing great.
Hmm.
Even the poets who are great on stage, but
Hmm.
whenever you see them off stage,
Hmm.
whenever you get the BTS of their life,
Uh,
all the aura that we call, right? Aura goes minus,
Exactly.
right?
Uh.
So this is exactly what happens with a lot of people.
Hmm.
So personality, we think, our personality is only about how we are communicating and how we are,
Hmm.
talking. And it goes too much artificial.
Hmm.
So your stage presence or
Hmm.
whatever you have built, the
Hmm.
kind of presence that you have built in your professional life,
Hmm.
number one thing is that
Hmm.
it needs to be based on a very strong value.
Hmm.
Okay, what is the value? For me, the value is we all can have different values. For me,
Exactly.
the value is if I respect somebody,
Hmm.
I need to respect every single element on the earth with the same,
Hmm.
with the same kind of respect or the
Hmm.
same level of respect. That is for me.
Hmm.
So for me, so how my personality is going to revolve, it is
Hmm.
going to revolve around my value.
Exactly.
If I'm saying that I'm very particular about people respecting my time.
Hmm.
At the same time, I ensure that no matter who the other person is,
Hmm.
I respect their time as well. Right?
Hmm.
So there are, number one, finalize, define your value system,
Hmm.
what it is. Okay. Second thing is, if you want to create values, personality and all these things, only communication is not a part of it. Okay. How you're smiling with people,
Hmm.
how you're behaving, how you manage your time,
Hmm.
how you take your business.
Hmm.
If you see a person, there are different types of personalities, right?
Hmm.
There are people who do like one thing nicely. They will
Hmm.
just be full of energy and
Hmm.
motivation on day 1,
Hmm.
and on day 10,
Hmm.
they just don't want to do anything.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you need to understand like what kind of personality you are bringing.
Hmm.
Right? So slowly and gradually that is built. So
Hmm.
that's very important.
Hmm.
So you need to understand, the first thing is what I feel,
Hmm.
a person who is good at one thing,
Hmm.
that person is going to be good at all the things. Have you seen people? Right?
Like,
There is one person
Hmm.
personality type.
Hmm.
they are good at maybe academics also. They are not very bad. They are, if they start any business, they are excelling there also. If they are doing workout, they are doing that as well. If they take care of their family, they do that as well nicely. So it does not mean that the person is putting a lot of effort in one direction and not. The thing is, the main positioning anchor or the value anchor the person has, it is very strong. So I think instead of working on all the superficial things in the world, first thing is you need to find out who you are as a person, and then every other thing is going to be fixed. For me, I'm a very anxious person. I know that. If I'm working, I'm literally working on hundreds of things throughout the day. And if something goes wrong, I become very much anxious.
Okay.
But so self-awareness is very important for everyone.
But how to figure it out?
So that's what I'm saying, self-awareness is very, very important. What we say, I want to do personality development. We watch a couple of videos and we try to imitate it.
Okay.
Right? Or we just watch some of the good speakers and we try to be like them. Okay? That is not sustainable. It is absolutely not sustainable because every single individual is very, very different.
Exactly.
We all are different. So the first thing is, instead of looking at your surrounding and seeing what other people are doing to improve their personality, first do a self-awareness exercise. Understand who you are as a person. I understand I am a very dedicated person. If I say I do something, I'm 100% going to do it, no matter what. But the second thing, I understand a downside about my personality. I'm very anxious. I want everything to be done. And if something is not happening, I'm going to go crazy about it. But at least I understand who I am. Okay.
Exactly.
And that's where I know I need to control my energy. Otherwise, I overreact at times. And within seconds, I'm like, okay, fine.
Exactly.
Okay. The third thing, I feel like for me, my work comes above anything else in the world. I'm a very optimistic person. Okay. So when I started my career, I was the first one from my entire city to be placed. I was in my school, I was the national topper in English. When I moved to my organization, I was doing fine. Though I was not really good at data science, but I was still one of the highly rewarded people because I was utilizing other skill sets that I had. I was 100% aware, even in my office, that I'm not the best data scientist they have. I was literally somehow managing it, but I was still being rewarded every single time because I was utilizing the other skill sets that I had. Why I was able to do it? Because I had the self-awareness.
Exactly.
Right? I knew who I am. I knew what I have and what I don't have. When I left my job, I had no backup in hand. Right? I just left it. I thought I was working as a freelancer a little bit because I was not getting time. Let's try it. When I tried, the first person, even before finishing off my notice period, I got offer from Walmart.
Okay.
And I was directly working with the director of Walmart. Communications and Wellness.
Nice. Amazing.
Yeah. And whatever I'm doing right now, I have no degree in that space. But still, So still, gradually we started moving. And I have also done the entire marketing for G20 events. I have sat and talked to world leaders, presidents of different countries. I have done so many things. The only reason was I was aware that whatever I believe, something can be done, somehow it will be done.
Exactly.
There have been extreme highs, there have been extreme lows, right? But still, a belief that I'm a very optimistic person. I know that. Okay. So I was very self-aware that I dream really high, but the other thing is I don't just dream and leave it. Whatever it takes to make it happen, I'm going to do it.
Do it.
Okay. So that was the approach that happened because I knew that I'll be able to do it somehow. I still know that I'll be able to increase. Right now, we are making 6 figures in US dollars in revenue. In a couple of months, in a couple of years, actually, I'm 100% sure that I'll be able to make 7 figures in USD in revenue. For sure, I know. How? I don't know. But whatever comes in that point of time, I'm ready to do it. So, that is the kind of self-awareness you need. There are other things that I cannot do. That also I know. So I'm not wasting my time building my personality in that front. I'm not a very social person. Okay. At least I understand that. In my school, college, everywhere, I never had a huge group of people, and I don't even have besties who have been there my throughout life. I'm not
Okay.
that kind of person.
Mhm.
I spend majority of my time absolutely alone,
Mhm.
or with my parents. I take 5 minutes of lunch break, and that's all I do. So I understand, like, this is the kind of person who I am. So I'm not going to force myself to be a very social person or build people, because I have watched a podcast who says that having friends is good. Right? So that's why I'm saying, if you want to develop your personality or build your personality, then understand the foundation, who you are first, and then move others. Because the thing is, we spend a lot of our time understanding others. Isne aisa ki how can I, the person is behaving in that way. How can I make,
Exactly.
how can I make that person behave in that way? What the other person might be thinking. But what we do is we are constantly judging others, but somehow we are not judging ourselves. We are not evaluating ourselves at all. So I think spending time alone and understanding yourself is the best thing you can do for your personality.
What are the
development.
practices which you personally follow for this? Like, do you travel?
I do. Yes, I do. I travel, and earlier, actually, I didn't used to, but in the last 2-3 years, I have been traveling quite a lot.
Okay.
Last year, exactly, I think on this date, I did a solo travel to Europe.
Okay.
I went to Oktoberfest in Germany, absolutely alone, which was very weird for everybody around me because it was a fest. I moved to different countries, absolutely alone. So yeah, it helps a lot. So when I was able to do that last year, every single moment, the only feeling I had was, I was very grateful. That was something I had never, I think I didn't have a lot of belief that I would be able to do it, but I did it. Because since my childhood, I have always traveled only with family.
Okay.
Otherwise,
This was the first time.
Right.
Okay.
So I have traveled to Bali as well. So since my childhood, I have my brothers of same age, same school, same college, same class. So everywhere we go as a twin. So that was when I tried to go to Bali the first time. I went to Singapore first, absolutely alone. But I think the solo trip to Europe was life changing for me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Now I'd like to take you back to G20 summit. Like, you're the marketing head of G20, or?
No. So for G20 events, there are a lot of events happening. So there was a company called GEP, that's the Global Energy Alliance, and that holds all the events that are coming under anything that is related to energy and energy transition. And that's a part of United Nations and well funded by Jeff Bezos. Okay. So for our marketing, online marketing for that entire event, I did the marketing activities. And the best thing about it was we were doing all kinds of marketing and management. All the delegates were there in Delhi. And even on the day when the energy transition dialogues was happening, the event hashtag was trending on number 3, even though they had India-Sri Lanka match and Shah Rukh Khan's birthday.
Okay.
So we were trending on number 3, which was huge for us.
Exactly.
And the event went a big success for us.
I'd like not to take you on this topic, but if you have to give to my audience your 5 best learnings of marketing which you have learned from this G20 summit, because I believe this is a huge event in India which has been conducted. So what are your learnings from there?
Right. So for me, the first thing is omni-channel marketing is a must for any brand, any event, anything.
Okay.
You need to be available at different places. Second thing is, just because you need to be available, it does not mean that you need to be available at every single place, right? So it is like you find out where your target audience is there and what it makes sense to them, So, and targeting exactly at that place helps a lot. For example, if I work with tech founders, I only do LinkedIn. Okay. If I'm working with any wellness brand, I ask them to go ahead and do the proper Instagram marketing. At the same time, I have worked with some political organizations as well. Twitter is the best for them.
Exactly.
Understanding your niche and where your audience is actually looking for you is very important.
Exactly.
Third thing, vanity metrics that we say, having hundreds and thousands of followers, so many likes. If those followers, likes and everything, that's not very much aligned with your business and what you're looking for, then somehow it's absolutely useless for you.
Exactly.
Okay. So even if you have 10 likes, but all 10 of them are very targeted, then it's important. Like it's going to help you. Fourth thing about marketing is actually, this is something that my client taught me. I was very sad because in that quarter, we were definitely they take all the deals that are in $1 million only. So I was quite sad as a marketer. Like we are the marketing partner for them. And the client was sitting and I saw somehow we couldn't do it this quarter. I don't know what happened, but I think we couldn't do better. And they're like, no, you're not responsible for it. You did everything that you were supposed to do. Marketing department is not the only department which is which is supposed to bring business to the table.
Exactly.
Marketing gives you the direction. Marketing helps you reach to the ideal customer. Now, sales is not the sales is not the responsibility of marketing team, and it's very important for all the marketers as well as the clients to understand. Okay, because what we think, I'm not able to sell anything. What is the marketing doing? Right? So that does not work. I see this happening so many times. And even I was beating myself for that. Like I couldn't do it. But it was my client who told me, like, these are the plans that we decided. You did everything. Now, if we didn't get any conversion, then it's not your problem. It's maybe my problem. It's my other team's problem. It's not you.
Exactly.
Right? So I think I have been very fortunate to work with really great people. Okay. And I think finally, marketing is marketing, business, everything. It is about the real connections. Even if you can build really strong connections with the good people in the market, it is going to solve a lot of your problem.
Exactly.
Like, even if with the people I work with, all the teammates I have, I think I have personal connections with everybody who is working with me. And at the same place, the clients that work with me, I have a very deep level of human to human connection. And that comes with only one thing, that is very pure intent. I don't see my client as, that's the fifth thing. I don't see them as the source of my revenue only. Yeah, money is very important. But at the same time, I see, like, if somebody is here working with me, then I'm the one who's responsible for their growth. And I'm going to do whatever it takes to help them grow. So that bonding, I think, touchwood, it's been great. And it is very, very much important in any business, actually.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Recently, you talked about targeting and positioning. So, like marketing के 3 pillars ही होते हैं, that segmentation, targeting, positioning, which is basically STP. How do you define these 3 pillars of marketing?
Right. So that's the fundamental of it. And that's what I also say, that I don't deal with people who are, even as an agency also, I have the very consistent vision, or I would say values when it comes to marketing. I apply it for my business as well. And I work with all the businesses aligned with the similar kind of vision. So I don't want 50 to 100 clients of low tickets, and I just don't want to do anything for the sake of doing it. I'm not providing services. For me, I work with very B2B companies who are selling high ticket offers and who are in the very premium segment. Whatever they are bringing to the table, it is actually going to bring some change. Okay, I need to be very much aligned with that business. Similarly, I help my clients to define the same thing. If you want to sell high ticket offers, you need to be very, very specific. This is the XYZ one problem statement that I'm solving, and I'm going to solve it better than anybody else in the market. That is going to literally give you so many, huge success in your business. The other thing, people say, that you need to convert everybody, right? If you want to be a successful person. But the truth is, even if your market segment, let's say there are 100 people you are targeting, 100 audience size you are targeting, if you can convert as a business also, like it takes 3 people out of 100 people. It has actually in the history. If 3 people out of 100 people can be convinced for anything, it is enough to bring a big movement throughout the world. And the
Right.
same thing applies in marketing as well.
Okay.
If you have a size of 100 audience,
If
you
you're
are able to convert or actually, be in front of 3 people out of 100 with 100% of clarity, your marketing campaign is already successful.
Exactly.
Right. So you
Nice.
don't need to convert every single person. And I really ask my clients to do the same. And at the same time, I also do that. I don't go in the market and say I can do marketing for anybody. No, I don't want to do a marketing. I never have a vision to build a marketing company that is serving 100 clients. I don't want to do it. I want to be very specific and I want to solve a specific problem.
Exactly. And this is your targeting and
Correct.
positioning.
Targeting and positioning. Yes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, segmentation also comes here because the segment for us is B2B brands that are having high ticket offers.
High ticket clients.
That's it.
How was your experience working with high ticket clients?
Okay. So I'll
Lots
tell
of money.
you. Yeah. So money is a very good factor. That's a very big motivator, right? That's the biggest motivator for
Exactly.
anyone. And the other thing I have seen, in the market, if you're running agency,
Huh.
the clients who pay you less, they are going to create a lot of chaos and they are going to be very much demanding. But the clients who are going to pay you well, they are the clients who are going to be very easy on you.
Exactly.
I've seen this pattern. I'm telling you, whenever we start contracts and there is a lot of negotiation going on, sometimes I have also done, just for the sake of initial days, just for the sake of getting that contract, I would say, okay, fine, let's decrease the payment. And those clients have always regretted onboarding because they have so many demands and they have so many things to do, like somehow you don't align. Okay. But the clients I have worked with, literally biggest companies in the world, I have worked with, I've earned Bravo Award as well from Walmart.
Okay.
I have worked with world leaders. I have also worked with Silicon Valley founders, a lot of them. And I personally work with some prime or premium solution-based B2B founders from Australia, India, and Europe. Okay. So these are the clients who actually pay very well, but at the same time, they understand your way of doing business because they are also working in the premium segment. So that alignment is very important and that makes it very smooth for us to work with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I think, exactly. Working with premium clients gives you a lots of experience and exposure for sure.
Correct.
And when it comes to high ticket clients, I think B2B businesses career, LinkedIn is the best platform.
Right.
Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely.
Okay.
LinkedIn is the best platform.
Huh.
But at the same time, LinkedIn is not the only marketing you should be doing.
Okay.
Right.
Huh.
So what we think, most of the people I talk to prospect, actually, I reach out to founders and I have a lot of meetings scheduled every week. So a common pattern I see is they think, okay, so I have this thing to offer. Now let's just start posting on LinkedIn and my business should grow.
Okay.
And if it does not grow, then they'll be like, why didn't it grow? Why didn't it get any client? Do you really think if just posting on LinkedIn would be the guaranteed
Never.
way to get your client? It doesn't
Never.
work like that.
Exactly.
It does not work like LinkedIn is just a part of your marketing, right? First, the thing is posting does not help if your offer is not clear, if your value proposition is not clear, if your positioning is not clear. So when we onboard any client, even if they ask us or not, we want them to pause. I'm not going to give you any deliverables unless we sit with you and we create an elaborative marketing document, a strategy document for I'm telling you, we literally created like an encyclopedia for that particular brand. Right. So a 40-50 pager, we created every single thing in very much detail. Once we align there, then only we move with our deliverables.
Okay.
Because if I don't understand your business in detail, if you also don't, most of the problem is, we think even the founders are not very clear about their business. So this thing, the marketing strategy document that we create for them, that brings so much of clarity for them as well as for us. And then everything becomes very easy for us. Another thing I see, people think that let's just do social media and I'll just hire one person who will do everything for me.
Exactly.
They spend a lot of time, effort, money in hiring dev team. But when it comes to marketing, there are a lot of companies who just think like, I'll just hire one person, will post something everywhere and we'll be good.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't work. Marketing is not a one person task. I want to tell this to everyone. Marketing is not a one person task. Don't think that you can hire one person and you'll be done with everything. If you think like that, then you are simply stretching that person and somehow you will not be able to get the results. Okay. Marketing needs whole marketing department. It needs a group of people with different kinds of skill sets and expertise if you really want to get something out of the marketing activities.
Most of the founders मतलब जिनके साथ personally मैंने काम किया है, I saw a very common pattern that posting on Instagram or some reels or some videos will help their business grow.
Right.
And this is the biggest myth I think every founder has. And this is never going to happen, right?
Right. So the best thing to do is first finalize your positioning. Okay. Second, make one platform as the master platform, but you need to go omnichannel. There are so many people who are literally doing the same thing. You talk about any XYZ thing that you are bringing to the table. And there are literally hundreds and thousands of people, other companies who are doing the same thing. So if you want to go very niche in social media, let's say LinkedIn, then that should be your anchor. But at the same time, you need to be available at other places as well. Visibility is the key right now. Are people able to? Sometimes, what happens in marketing, if you see, as a creator as well, I put so much effort in creating something and it doesn't perform at all. And I just put a B-roll of scrolling myself here and then it is going to it literally there was a post that got 20 million views for me. Okay. I did nothing for that. I'm telling you, like nothing special. It was just a B-roll. I was typing something, I guess, and there was a text going on.
Okay.
Right. So you never know. That's why omnichannel presence is very important at this time where this is the era of hyper visibility, right? When you're competing with visibility, have one main platform and go be present everywhere, as many places.
But the positioning should be same on this on the platforms,
Your positioning needs to be very much consistent.
Clear.
Yes.
Okay, now let's move further. Like recently you mentioned that you're working with B2B businesses and the high ticket clients. If someone wants to start sifting their niche from low ticket clients to high ticket clients, what are the best practices and platforms which you would like to recommend them, which can help them and their businesses to grow?
Right. So I think when we start providing any service, India is a very service-based market, right? We what happens is we are really hardworking people in service industry. You need to work very hard. Second thing is we don't charge a lot, so we become one of the main. So we become one of the main choices for businesses, right? And in this race, when we start selling services, we start selling it the same thing for everyone. Okay. Somehow that doesn't work. Okay. So before even deciding who you serve, I want you to decide who you don't serve.
Exactly.
Okay? Just go reverse. Okay. Reverse the process and define who are the people you don't want to serve, and then narrow it down. Okay. I understand. Like, it's absolutely fine. You should understand that marketing is a hit and trial thing. Even the best marketer in the world is going to try something out. If it works, my simple strategy, I'm going to try a strategy. It can work out for you. It cannot work out for you. The same thing that worked for another client, it might not work out for you. Exactly. So I will just do a very in-depth analysis of what worked and what did not work. What didn't work, I'm just going to move it away. What worked, I'm going to double down on it. Making it very much clear to people is very important. And the other thing is, my clients, like there are a lot of prospects I get, and they're like, what do you think in 2 months, how many followers I'm going to get? How many sales I'm going to get? Okay.
So what do you say?
Yeah. Earlier I used to get intimidated. I'm telling you. And I used to think of any number. Maybe I can just close this client. Let me just say that I can do this. Right now, the simple thing I tell them, if there is any marketer or any marketing company which promises that they are going to give you this result in this many months, then they are 100% lying to you. Nobody literally can predict what how many followers you are going to get in 2 months. Nobody, right? but what are the things we are going to do and how much alignment in business we can bring with all the things in marketing, that is something we can predict.
Exactly.
Right? So being realistic about things is also very important.
It's always not about that you'll get the leads and your business will grow. Sometimes it's more about the visibility, the trust
Visibility
which
in
you'll
the
build.
right market. Exactly. So conversion is a sales thing. Again, right? Now, marketing can help you sit with the right people. Marketing can help you be in the market where you are actually meeting the correct customer or the target audience. That's all marketing can do for you.
Exactly.
Right? And if the marketing team is able to bring that lead to the table for you, that's the job done for them.
Yeah.
Now sales team should do. Right? And also the other thing is, we can do forecasting, we build strategies, but we never bet that this is 100% sure that we are going to bring it, because people are over promising, people are cheating. Then it's like instead of aligning with the business, what they are doing, they are just trying to focus on those vanity metrics, and most times the malpractice is going on. Right? So
exactly,
I think value, having a clear value and very much clarity on what people should expect is also very important.
Okay, and coming back to the freelancing thing, if someone is looking for high ticket clients, then what are the platforms available and how to get those clients?
Right. So for high ticket clients, the first thing I say everyone is, don't be competitive in terms of money. Okay. In India, there is a service. If you are selling a service, the same kind of service can be sold in 1,000 rupees as well, and it can be sold in 10 rupees as well. Right? So if you are on the platforms where the competition is not on anything else and just on money, then you are never going to be able to close clients there, high ticket clients. It's like, you are said, this is the problem I have. This is like freelancers, Upwork and these platforms. People come up with problem. They don't know who's the person behind this. They just, evaluate you on the basis of cost. So that's a very wrong place if you want to get high ticket clients. Just get out of there, because you are already wasting your time and energy there. The other thing is, if you want to build a high ticket client, I would say LinkedIn is a very good platform, and Instagram as well. If you
Instagram?
It is.
Okay.
But the only thing is that, is your value proposition very clear there? If anything, there are a lot of agency owners who are doing fabulous. There is a girl called Fiza. She's doing really well. Prachi Gautam is there. She is doing very well. So, and there is one more person, I think, Devika. She's also doing very well on Instagram. These are the agency owners. The only thing is that my positioning for Instagram is very different, right? But these people are doing great. And at the same time, there are other people who are doing great on LinkedIn. Okay. So if you want to get premium clients, the thing is that you need to start talking in terms of values. What is the ultimate result or outcome your activities are giving you. Second thing is, you need to position yourself with clarity. Don't try to target everyone. I know I've been repeating it again and again. Don't try to target everyone. Third thing is, before even selling anything to anybody, if you want to move there, ensure that you are at least establishing yourself as a thought leader in that industry.
Exactly.
Because when it comes to service, they are not buying any product to test. All they are doing is they are signing contracts on the basis of trust and hope. So are you able to build that aura, or are you able to build that brand about yourself that people are just going to come and trust you? That's a very important thing. So personal branding is a must if you really want to target the high ticket client. So because in service industries, they are not buying product, they are buying your
services. Exactly. Oh, it was really great. Even I have worked with some high ticket clients on LinkedIn, and it's always not about the revenue which you are getting from the clients. It's more about the learnings and the experiences which you will have working with the premium clients or the cream clients, you can say. So that's always amazing. Now, recently, when we started the podcast, you have mentioned that you are the co-founder of Shivangi Srivastava Academy and the founder of Swift Media. So you're an entrepreneur.
Right.
How does it feel to become an entrepreneur? What's your age? 26 or 27?
I'm 27 now.
27. How does it feel like to become an entrepreneur
Mhm.
at 27?
Cool. I think entrepreneurship is less of a job title and it's more of a mindset thing,
Mindset.
right?
Yeah.
A person can be in a
Does
job.
confidence matters to become an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. If you want to be a great entrepreneur, you need to be super confident, super delusional.
But lack with skills. But
Yes.
that person has the
Correct.
confidence.
Correct.
So will that work?
No. So the thing is, being confident, being delusional is good. Being optimistic is good. Okay. But if your words are not matching your actions, then somehow it's not going to help. Right? If this is going in either direction, this is going in other direction, then it is not going. These are not going to meet ever. But if you start your confidence from here, your skill is coming from here. Eventually, these two things are going to combine. Sometime there is a chance, and that happens for everyone. That's why I say it's very important for you to be very confident, very delusional. सपने देखो, खुली आंखों से सपने देखो, ठीक है? Just manifest that you can do anything in the world, but every single day, at least do 1% of the work to get there.
Exactly.
That is enough for you. So, move in the direction that somehow, someday, these two things are going to meet. And you're never going to be perfect. The other thing is, you want to be, you want to do great things in the world. Always remember that there will never be a point where you feel like, okay, I know everything about this field. Okay, even the person who calls themselves an expert in the field, they know deep down that there are so many things in the same field they don't know.
Exactly.
Right?
It always happens.
Right. Be fine with having unknown things for your industry, but at the same time, have so much of willingness to learn something and grow 1% every day. So being an entrepreneur, getting back to your question, I think for a person like me who is very anxious, my journey is a very roller coaster ride. Like in a month, I feel like everything is going great, everything is nice. And the other day, everything feels like nothing is working for me. Okay. So controlling your emotions is very important. Second thing is being sure that you really want to do is very important. I think, there will be days where you do well. There will be days where nothing works, right? But in those days also, being able to navigate it with it is important. So if you're just tired to thinking like, okay, I want to be an entrepreneur because I want to have certain kind of lifestyle, somehow it's not going to work for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
That should not be the motivation kind of.
Right. I'm
clarity should be there.
I'll tell you a story in some time. Okay. So that's not going to work for you. Third thing, as a founder, I think I have a principle, okay, in my agency that if somebody joins me for a job, I'm never going to fire that person because I cannot afford them. The only reason I will ever fire somebody is because of their performance. Okay. That's it. If I cannot afford them, I'm still going to make the person sit because that's not their problem. It's my problem. Okay. So I'm going to maybe fire myself. I'm going to freeze my own salaries, but I will never fire them. So being fine with it is also important. Another thing is I see for every business, I see businesses on Shark Tank as well. Okay. So profit is important. Every single thing, okay, whatever vision you have, anything in the world, XYZ you want, profit kitna hai? How much profit is your business making every quarter, every year is the most important thing. If your business is not giving you profit, somehow it is not going in the right direction. You're not doing business, you just want to be called an entrepreneur. That's not a fancy title just, okay? The next thing I think is... what would I say about entrepreneurship? That's it. And I think for me specifically, that is the center point of my life. My business is the most important thing in the world for me. And I also know, like, being an entrepreneur, I know that if this does not work, tomorrow if you put me at any place in the world, I'm so sure about it. The only thing, when I left my job, the only thing I had was that I knew, मैं कर लूंगी. I'll be able to do it. Okay. So right now also, if everything goes to zero, I know that from tomorrow also I start something in some different segment, I'm going to be able to work on it. Because I know my mindset, I know how much I can grind. The only thing I know that whatever it takes to make it successful, I'm ready to do it. So that's I think that's a very good thing any entrepreneur can have, and I feel lucky, like, to have this. And it does not come from day one. It just comes from seeing the pattern. There are highs, there are lows. It's not that these are the only things I have tried. I have literally tried every random thing in the world. I'm a certified dancer as well. I'm a hip hop dancer. I am a marathon runner. I have done so many different things. But I know that whatever I do, I'm going to do it very well. So yeah, that's why I say, entrepreneurship is not a job title. It's a mindset, and anybody can be an entrepreneur no matter what they are doing.
Okay, this will be a totally off the topic question, but I'd like to ask you. So, like being a 27-year-old girl, what are your top 5 priorities in your life?
Okay. So, that's a tough question, but a very interesting one. So, since my childhood, I will tell you my nature, like, I have always been very much dedicated. So, I have been like, if I want this, I'm going to do it in any way possible. I'll literally do anything to get it. So, I have been a very stubborn person. So, that is one thing. Like, okay, what was the question again?
What are the top 5
priorities? Okay, right.
27?
Right. At 27, the first priority for me is my business.
Okay.
No matter what, I'm definitely going to work on that. Like, even if I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm crying. There have been days where I've been in really bad depression. I have worked. I have ensured that every single day, no matter what, even if I have to cry, I'm going to sit on my table and I'm going to cry. But my laptop needs to be there. Okay. This year itself, like, I met with a very bad accident. This car you see, I was on wheelchair for like 1-2 months, and I've recently started working. But even though people call me crazy, I know, but even when I was on wheelchair, I was working every single day. I'm telling you, the day I met my accident, that was the day where I had a call. I met my accident at 6:30 p.m. I'm saying it for the first time. I met my accident at 6:30 p.m. It was brutal. I was in the hospital, and at 10:30 I had planned that I'm going to have a prospect call. Okay. And everybody, my friends were there, like my family was there, and they were calling me crazy. And all I was thinking is, okay, I have given this time. If I move it was very difficult for me to get the time from that prospect. If I move the call, they might not join again. So let me do somehow, I'll do it. Okay. And at 10:30, I started that call, and that was a 15-minute call. It was supposed to be a 15-minute call. It was a prospect from Canada. And it went for another 2 hours. I was lying down, I was talking. Somehow I managed. And I literally closed the client on that day. I told him, like, I'm sitting here, but, I was lying down because this is all I can do. I am on painkillers. I met with an accident, and they were, but let's just do it. And that 15-minute call went for 2 hours, and I closed that deal. So I'm crazy. I know when it comes, like, everybody was like, are you serious? Even the doctor was like, what are you talking about? But somehow, it feels happy. Yeah, you just managed, so that's the most important thing for me, no matter what. Second thing is, I think, my relationships. I'm very close to my parents. If somebody, follows me on Instagram, they know I hang out like it's mommy, daddy, me. I go out, mommy, daddy, me. Like, I'm very close to them. I spend a lot of my time with them. So it's great. And I also have a very strong relations with my sibling. It's not like that they're just there, but they're a very important part of my life. And at the same time, I have a boyfriend as well. And we meet once in a year, literally. He lives in Australia. I live here. We get to meet because we decided that we want to do something big in our lives. Career goal. But that's the most important thing. I know that is the only thing that has more importance than anything else in the world. Okay. And and there have been even times where we haven't seen each other for 2 years. Okay. And there is a time zone difference and everything, but I know the different importance. So, and that is going to stay. So I think second thing is commitment. I'm a very committed person. Third priority for me is health. I have been a lot into fitness. I have always been a person who likes to do some kind of workout. I used to be a hip hop dancer, then I used to be a marathon runner. I started weightlifting. So since my accident, I have stopped everything, but I'll be back. But yeah, so fitness is very important for me. Fourth thing, I would say a place where I can be myself. Okay, even if I don't see humans for days, I'm still fine. But I cannot be in a group of so many people and where I'm not getting any space. So that's another thing, space, because I have done every single thing. I even started my academy from my bedroom. I am running my agency from my bedroom. I'm literally working with every single person. I even started content creation from my bedroom because I had that space. So space is important. Fifth thing is I think high value conversations. So for me it's like I cannot have superficial conversations for a long time, because then I start looking at my time, and that's a very bad. I'm trying to do this, but somehow I'm unable to spend my time with a huge group of people who are just talking about this happened, that happened. But if I connect with somebody, I feel like there is a value. I can literally sit for 4 hours and talk to somebody. So that is the kind of priority I have, like high value conversations. So yeah, that helps. So these are the 5 things, and these are the things that actually define me, I think.
Amazing. So I just wanted to have your experience, like
Mhm.
how it feels like to become an entrepreneur at 27, and how do you see your life?
Right. So I think,
Great.
yeah. So at 27, life feels different than what it was at 24. I started proper entrepreneurship journey at the age of 23. Okay. Yeah. I left my job and came here full time. But I think life feels very different right now. The other thing is, the things that you had never imagined for yourself, when you see it happening, then it adds a lot of confidence in you. Third thing is, I think it also brings a lot of humility, right? You get so used to hearing no. Right now I'm so immune. Earlier, I'm telling you, I used to get offended if somebody would say no. Right now, if people can just shut doors in front of me and I'll be fine. So because I hear a no every other day. So that's another thing. And other thing is, I think, the confidence it gives to be able to sit in front of anyone. I have sat in front of a lot of Indian leaders and ministers. We have a partnership with Aditya Birla Group, through which I also met Mr. Jaishankar last year. But I've never feel, entrepreneurship gives you that a different kick, that you don't feel like I'm smaller than anyone, because you don't have that hierarchy like in companies, right? So you feel like if I'm sitting here as a professional, as an individual, so I'm not less than anyone. So that's a very good thing, that it adds to your life. And another thing I think, at 27, being an entrepreneur, it teaches you how to dream and how to build something brick by brick. Right now, I'm all into my real estate. I'm all the time I'm thinking, is zameen ka kitna paisa hoga, iska kitna hoga, and I've started doing this. I've already invested in a lot of properties, and I'm going to invest in another property this in the next month. So it adds a lot of curiosity in you, and it adds that belief ki brick by brick, thoda thoda karte karte ho jayega. We'll be able to do it. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, now coming back to Shivangi Srivastava Academy. Like you have mentioned that you have trained over 70,000 plus professionals.
Yeah.
And more than 100 plus MNCs.
Hmm.
So, like, what is the one common mistake which you personally see in every candidate or corporate professionals which they make during their interviews?
I think the main thing I see, is they create if I have to see one mistake about resume, that is, right now it's very easy for anybody can write a resume with the help of ChatGPT.
Exactly.
What they do, I'm telling you very frankly, they simply check the job description, they put it on ChatGPT, get the resume done. Because they have been hearing it again and again, that match the job description with your resume. It's a very cliche advice, right? But when you read the job resume, Now you tell me, if I'm hiring a software engineer, right, and I'm getting 1,000 applications, because whenever I put even a job on LinkedIn, for my company, I see within half an hour I easily get 500 applicants, right? That is the tough job market we have in 2025. Now in this job market, if I'm getting 10,000 resumes who are very much aligned to the job description, now you tell me, why would I pick one resume and not the other 9,999 or 999? Why? That reason I don't see. You know, people are just repeating the job. You see, you are an engineering software engineer. You developed tools, you developed code, you did automation. Aren't you supposed to do that?
Yeah, obviously yes.
Right?
You should do that.
Everybody is supposed to do that, and that's what they did. What different you did in your job, that is going to that is something we cannot see. So on an average, even after the applicant tracking system shortlists resumes, on an average, an HR person or a recruiter takes only 6 seconds on per resume.
Okay.
And people aren't able to stand out. The other thing I see really good professionals they do, when they just watch some videos and on resume, or they just get it done by somebody. But when you start asking questions, they cannot. I am telling you, I train CXOs, directors, managers. The most common place, like they know literally everything in their domain, but but when I ask them, take me through your resume, they go blank and they start programming. No, when somebody is asking you to take them through the resume, it means that you're supposed to remember what you have written in that resume.
Exactly.
And that is not there. But they have written numbers because somehow they have read that there should be numbers in your resume, which is nice. But when I ask them, you say that you saved it by 20%. How do you know you saved it?
They have no idea.
That resume and personality alignment is not there, and I think that's a very good gap in the market. That's where the opportunity lies. So yeah, if people can just fix that, it will give them a lot of edge.
Okay, what will be your one piece of advice which you'd like to give to any other professionals who is looking for a job in 2026?
Okay. So the simple advice is that understand that this is the era of visibility. There used to be an era, till I think 2019, 2020, till 2020, pre-COVID era, the era was the era of degree. People used to get jobs on the basis of their degree.
Exactly.
After 2009, 20 to 2023 or even early 24, it was the era of skills. Okay. And that was the time when there were people who got really big jumps in the salaries. But right now in 2024, that backfired. And right now we are not in era of degree or skills. Right now we are in the era of hyper visibility. Jo dikhega wahi bikega. There will be so many people with so many skill sets, good degrees, but if they cannot have a personal brand, people don't know them for the value they bring to the table, somehow they are not going to be the chosen one. Okay, just create one liner, make your elevator pitch very sharp, very clear, and make sure that whoever remembers you, they remember you for the work that you do, for the exact problem that you solve. I'm telling you, no matter how difficult the job market is, no matter how many AI comes, no matter how much recession comes, you are definitely going to be chosen. So in the visibility era, build your personal brand around the USP that you have.
Okay, but like if someone is a fresher, so personal branding also matters for them? How?
Absolutely 100%. Even for freshers, personal branding helps a lot.
But what exactly personal branding means for them?
Right. So if you are a fresher, you are going to start. Right now, the thing is, even from a fresher, people expect them to have some kind of knowledge or some kind of hands-on experience, right? Earlier, what used to happen, companies used to come and they would just select 100 people and they would be fine. But somehow even the mass recruiters are firing and they are not hiring a lot, right? So how to ensure that you are going to be chosen one? The first thing is that get some hands-on experience, right? Second thing is, as a software, we got hired as a software engineers. We didn't know what we are going to do. right? But right now it doesn't work like this. If there is a requirement of an UI UX developer, then I'm not going to hire any software developer.
Exactly.
I'm going to look for people with positioning with UI UX development and with projects in that. Right, so that's being very specific about the tools, technologies, or the kind of deliverable is important.
Okay.
Third thing is building personal brand is like building your soft skills as well around it. You know, I know 100 things, but if I cannot build, if people don't know that I know 100 things, then it is equivalent to knowing 0.
Okay.
So even if you have 2 skills, ensure that you talk about those skills, you are present, you are knocking the door, you are telling everyone that yes, I am here and this is the skill that I have. So these are the things, this is how even freshers can build the personal brand, and it is going to give them a lot of edge in hiring.
So it was really nice talking to you, Shivangi. Would you like to give any other feedback to me and my audience?
Yes, it was really great sitting here and discussing. The best thing about the conversations are when they flow, you know, naturally. We didn't have any structure, we didn't have any plan, but it just went through the flow. So it was great. It was amazing working with, talking to you and discussing every single raw thoughts that we had. So I hope everybody liked the discussion. If you guys have any questions at all, let us know. Feel free to comment and ask us. I would be more than happy to support you.
Yeah.
And I would love to end it with the same thing, that position yourself, guys. You cannot be one in thousands. You need to be one, literally. Okay, no. What I'm trying to say is position yourself, guys. No matter whether you are a founder, CXO, you are a professional, or even a fresher, you need to stand out of the crowd. You cannot be one of the people in the crowd and say that I want to get hired. This is 2025. You need to wake up.
One learning from this episode will be positioning is very important. So figure it out and see you soon in the next episode. Thank you so much.
Thank you.